Hi everyone. This episode contains the discussion of very sensitive topics regarding minors and the internet that may not be appropriate for children. We feel this episode is incredibly important for you to hear, but we wanted to give you fair warning about the content first. Again, we urge you not to listen to this around any young ears. Thank you.
Best.Podcast.Ever is sponsored by the Gertsburg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertsburglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My 6, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermy6.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
Sometimes I feel like the house is on fire and we're arguing about what color fire extinguisher to use.
Hi, Molly Gebler.
Hi, Alex Gertsburg. What's going on?
Nothing, man. What's going on with you?
You know, just living the dream as always.
It's been ages.
It has been, I feel.
Hasn't it? It's been
I
2
think
weeks
so.
at least.
Oh, that's too long, Alex.
I've had
way too long.
I feel like a ton has happened in the last 2 weeks.
I know.
You know,
What's happened with you? Anything
I went to
good?
I went to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. You know that.
I had a
Not
different
fan.
experience. Yeah, I had a different experience from you. I had an amazing time. You know what we did? So my friend Tiffany and I, we pretended like we were in college and we stayed out till 5 a.m. clubbing every single day that we were there.
Yeah, but that doesn't hurt you the next day. You're not at that age yet.
It hurt me for 4.5 days.
I was going to say, yeah,
I'm kind of still recovering from
Yeah,
that.
I would bet.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Well, good for you. Good for you.
What about you? What'd you do?
You know what? Taking care of my dad right now. That's kind of taken majority of my efforts. He had a little fall and he's in rehab now, and so doing that. But my book came hot off the presses on Friday. Very exciting. So we'll launch. It'll drop officially next Saturday.
Like the kids say these days.
No, other people do say that too. Yeah,
Molly,
it's gonna drop.
Ordinarily this time of the show, and probably for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we would be bantering,
but we can't.
And we'd be talking about our guest behind their back.
Yes.
But as it turns out, we're going to talk about our guest right in front of her.
I love it.
And then go right into it. What do you think about that?
I love it.
Circumstances were such that the Gertsburg Law Firm great podcast studio was taken for some legal matters that needed to occur here.
We do have to pay for this, so we have to earn some money. Well, you do.
Podcasts don't pay for themselves.
No, they don't.
Molly.
No, they don't.
So we have our guest right here, patiently waiting, right next to us. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, you guys. How are you?
How are you,
Wonderful.
Jesse?
Good.
Oh, Jesse W, man.
You guys are besties.
We are.
How far back did you say you go?
Far back.
At least 2005.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna drill down into that in a second.
Yeah.
But Jesse Weinberger, you are illustrious.
Am I?
You are notorious.
I would have
I'll
to say
take notorious.
she's
I'm
the
an illustrious.
longest research bio for
Really?
sure.
Our crack research department.
Oh,
has
God, I have to
assembled
see that.
pages and pages about you. Double-sided, single-spaced, 6 pages.
Wow.
Of information.
That's terrifying.
And that was in response to us saying, just give us the basics. Just give us the most important stuff. She poured 6 pages of information here about you.
Okay.
And I
see
can't
how much
speak,
of it is correct.
I can't speak for Molly. I read it all.
I did not.
Shocking.
I don't read.
Well, here.
Don't say that.
For the kids listening at home, Jesse Weinberger, you are an author and a speaker. You speak at schools. You have been on TEDx, right? Mm-hmm. You run an organization, a company called Overnight Geek University, the graduates of which, Molly, are called what? Ogres.
Yes. Is
ogres.
that true?
Well, that was something that we were doing in sort of way back in the beginning. So not so much
Well,
anymore.
then I'm an ogre. I mean,
yes.
I've been to a class or two.
Yes.
Ogre-
That's not something I use anymore, but yeah.
Oh, you totally should. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
It stands for Overnight Geek Real Expert.
Yeah, but it changes so much that
Right.
I like it. I like it. So, Jesse, in my hot little hands here are 6 pages of articles and videos and presentations that you've made. You've written 2 books. Yes, true?
Well, I've written 2 editions of the same book, and I'm working on the second book now.
Yeah. And you were kind enough to give us the second edition of this book that looks amazing, and I can't wait to read it. It's called The Boogeyman Exists.
It a couple times, but never for myself.
You have and I think you bought the old version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the new one.
So this is perfect.
So it's called The Boogeyman Exists, and he's in your child's back pocket, the second edition. I mean, it is dense. There's 300 pages.
Yeah.
Of information.
2 small text.
Yeah.
Because that was before I needed readers, and I thought I was cool.
Have you ever done you have a good voice to do your
Audiobook?
Yeah.
I've been harangued and harassed by audiences. Please do the audio. So I think I may.
Good.
I think I may do that.
You totally should. So for those who don't know, your main, I guess, focus of all of this stuff, the talks that you give, the books that you wrote, and the articles that you write, everything really focuses on the abuse of the internet and social media by different levels of predators, right? Sexual predators, bullies, just really bad people who are using the internet for illicit means to abuse our kids.
Right. And it's not just the predation victim perspective, although that's certainly a big part of it. It's also just the immersive web use and what that means in the family's life and what it means in the school day and what it means from the psychosocial perspective. Everyone's life is better than mine, and I think that because I can see it on Instagram.
Right.
So it's not just the predator-prey piece, although that is a big piece of it, but it's also sexting. So like in the state of Ohio and in, I think, 20-something other states, if a kid takes a sexually explicit or an image with sexual intent, or even uses text, uses words that has sexual intent, they can be charged with felony sexting. So that's 1 felony for creating it, 1 felony for having it, and 1 felony for distributing.
Wow.
So those felonies rack up really quickly. Yeah. So it's sexting, cyberbullying, sexual predation, human sex trafficking is a huge issue now.
Well, and I like that you go into just the use, just the overuse of this technology. Did you read? There was a book that came out recently about how the idea is that 20 years from now we're going to look back on smartphones and giving smartphones to kids the same way we think now about cigarettes and giving them to kids.
I don't know if it was Cal Newport.
That's it.
Okay.
Cal Newport.
All right. Yeah. Cal Newport wrote 2 excellent books, which I recommend to everyone. Deep Work, which should be required reading for every educator and parent, and Digital Minimalism.
That's it.
And what's funny is that in Deep Work, he is the chair of computer engineering. I want to say at Stanford. And in the first book, Deep Work, he said, I'm not really going to take a position on the technology itself being harmful. I'm not going to take a position on that. And then by the second book, he had totally taken a position on it. Because I read the first book first, and I didn't know the second book existed. So I was like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, you're not going to take a position? Because I'm instantly irritated. But I loved the book. The book was amazing because I was absolutely agreeing with everything he was saying. And then when I found out he had a second book, and I pulled that, I was like, oh, suddenly he has a position. And so it is so true. And that's actually what the book I'm working on now, the working title is Backlit Brain, and it's being released in chapters like Dickens' Pickwick Papers. So it'll come out in pieces, and then you can sort of purchase the whole sort of module of it. And the first part I'm putting out is paper versus screen. So this idea of reading on paper, school on paper, tests on paper, deep reading, impact on mental health, impact on anxiety, impact on self-worth. And about 30% of the news is actually really good related to technology, that there are great things that go on with technology-related, tools. And about 70% of it is freaking horrifying. Like, it's just horrifying. And you're right that we just go, here, 2-year-old, here's a... And even if there's nothing inherently, even if it's inherently benign, like Peppa Pig, who should die, by the way. But that's besides the point.
I need to know more about that. This is the second time you've said that today.
Peppa Pig is always looking for her daddy's finger, and that's disturbing. That's A. And B,
I don't know this.
Should be set on fire with Caillou, because Caillou doesn't have nipples, and he's a wimp, and someone should beat him to death. But that's neither here nor there.
Now I need to watch it so I can understand all those comments.
You have brand new grandchildren.
I know.
Caillou needs to be punched in the throat.
Who's Caillou?
Look it up on PBS. You will want to strangle him.
Wait, how do you feel about SpongeBob?
I'm okay with SpongeBob.
No, you're not, and I'll tell you why.
Why am I not okay with SpongeBob?
I watched an episode, and I swear to God, I posted this on Facebook.
What?
I swear to God, the octopus Squidward said to SpongeBob, he said, "Did you just see those guys? You just got beat off by those guys over there." He made this reference to masturbating that was clearly for adults, that was going to go under the radar of kids.
Sure.
Gosh, I will find the exact quote, but it was like so obvious. I thought I didn't hear it, so I rewinded it. It was so obviously a reference to masturbation.
That's kind of hilarious, though.
I just assume that you and I are going to come at different places from, like, I think it's funny.
No, I'm actually the most like liberally minded conservative when it comes to kids person ever. Like, I don't see, like, the kid's not going to get it.
Right.
And by the time they get it, they know so much. Like, that's not even an issue. Like,
but then why is Caillou horror? So Caillou is this
Caillou's
kid,
just a Caillou. Okay. Caillou, his mother's like, Caillou, tie your shoes. And Caillou's like, I don't wanna. And I just want the mother to set him on fire, but she doesn't. She's like, oh, Caillou. Like, if I did that today in front of my mother, she would beat me. Yeah. Today. He's just a wimp, and everybody
Peppa Pig?
Peppa
Is this
Pig
the
is just
same
irritating.
show?
No, totally different.
Oh,
Peppa Pig
okay.
is a British pig. I'm nothing against the UK. I'm a huge Anglophile. But she's always looking for daddy's finger. And there's a really disturbing song about looking for daddy's finger, and no one knows where daddy's finger is, and it's super disturbing.
Isn't it on his hand?
I know that song.
One would think.
It goes daddy finger.
Kind of like that. Not
like
Frere Jacques tune, but almost.
Similar.
So you can watch it.
We have so much to unpack here. But
Look, can we start from the beginning?
Yes.
At what point were you... What were you doing that you needed to look into what all this internet or cell phone usage was that sparked this mission and passion?
So you and I are the same age. And so when we were first like married or, around the time in the beginning, there was no cell phones. Like that came like during the beginning. Right. And so I remember saying to my husband, like, I don't need a phone. What are you talking about? By the way, I still kind of feel the same way, but we'll get to that. And then I had kids. I'm a software developer, I should say that. So I'm a career software developer. So I've always coded and been a programmer. And so I've always worked in this space. And so I had a sheriff's department ask me if I could come out and speak to families just about internet safety in general. I was like, well, I've never done that, but we'll figure something out.
How long ago was this?
That had to be like 12 years ago. And then parents would ask me, because like if you're a podiatrist, someone's going to take their foot out of their shoe at a cocktail party and show you their bunion. Like that's how it is when you do tech. My computer's making this noise or some stupid question.
You were at my office not that long ago.
Yeah, but I offered you help. That was different. I offered
Still
you
not
help.
Up, by the way.
Okay,
Still not up.
Right. So parents would ask me like, oh, the clients, I want to buy this thing for my kid, whatever it was. Well, how old is your kid? 6, 7. I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? You can buy it for your kid? He's 6. And so I started to get interested in what parents were buying, what restrictions didn't even exist then.
Right.
What, back then it was all message boards and AOL and all that kind of stuff. And I started to get more and more interested in it. One sheriff's department led to another. And I found that I hated software development because I didn't really care that the blue wasn't blue enough and I was going to kill somebody. And so I decided that in order to avoid incarceration, it would be better if I worked with law enforcement to some degree.
Instead of
in
their clutches.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And so I kept sort of providing this education, and almost very quickly, that part of the business that wasn't even going to be part of my business completely overtook the other side. And so now for the past, this will be my ninth, I think, or 10th full-time year that all I do is travel and speak and write all day. That's all I do. And I do a lot of work with law enforcement. I presented to 450 SROs in the state of Ohio.
And what are you telling them? What is your talk to them? What are you teaching the law enforcement to be looking for?
Law enforcement, all these groups come at it from a different perspective. So last week I did professional developments for 4 different school districts in West Virginia. So those are staff, teachers. Law enforcement's obviously coming from a different perspective, parents from a different perspective, students. And so the message is really all the same, just with a different who am I in front of at the time. And the biggest thing is, what I try to tell all of them is that it's a question of value, right? So I think we have a tendency to be offered a piece of technology and just go, okay, whatever it is.
It's new, it's shiny,
okay,
it does stuff.
Don't ask any questions. Don't ask what the value is to this stupid Amazon Echo. What's the value? The value is so you can sit in your recliner and go, Alexa, play Metallica. That's it. That's the whole value of that stupid thing. And now if you go through your recorded things that it's randomly made recordings of you, if you don't pee yourself a little when you listen to that, then rock on. But it's making random recordings of you whenever. And again, what is the value versus risk? And that my point is, you have to ask about what the value is. So there is value for some people in some situations. And P.S., when you parent, you're parenting, you know this, you parent each kid as an individual. You don't know that in the beginning. You think everything's supposed to be fair and everyone gets a sucker until you realize the one kid's type 2 diabetes all day and that can't happen anymore. And so you have to parent them individually. So for the cops, what I tell them is, first of all, keep them updated on what the new apps are. What, if a kid tells you this, he's full of it. That didn't happen like that, that sort of thing. How they should approach parents, being parents themselves, right? Because I think we make huge mistakes, which I'm sure we'll get into. And then just in terms of, what to look for. If you think something looks like this, make sure you're looking for that and that. Because I've seen so many cases where until you sort of peel back the layers of the onion, you don't really know what you're looking at completely. So just what I've seen in my experience of all different cases.
Do they ever ask for your help in any case? Have you ever worked with law enforcement on like pending matters? Sometimes,
if it's a very small department, because most departments are going to go through, their district attorney's department or office is going to have detectives, they have juvenile detectives. But sometimes it's not so much a, can you help us find evidence as much as, like, what do you think is happening here kind of thing, just for an outside perspective. So that's happened a few times. More often than not, I'm the one calling law enforcement.
Right.
Because what'll happen is I'll be at a school and a kid will come up to me and ask me for help. And that's happened a couple hundred times. Where the first time it ever happened, I had a 7th grade girl. I was in southwestern Ohio and I had a 7th grade girl tell me that she'd been dating a boy on Instagram. It was my first year out. Dating a boy on Instagram who she'd never met. Who she was dating, quote unquote, whatever that means, for months, who finally said to her months later, I'm not Billy from a few towns away. I'm, some moist guy in a basement. By the way, kids love the word moist. So I'm a moist guy in the basement, and I'm going to come to your house at a certain day and time, and I'm going to rape you, and I'm going to do all these things to you, which she said to me in detail, what he had told her. And I'm going to come to your house at this day and time. I'm coming in the back door by that Japanese maple tree I can see from Google Satellite. And you're going to do everything I tell you to do, because if you don't, I'm going to kill your parents. I know your brother goes to school, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's when I get together with the guidance counselors at school, call law enforcement, and sort of set that whole ball rolling. But that's happened hundreds of times.
That terrifies me.
Things big and small.
That is utterly terrifying. Because you've been there. And this is your field, and it's happened hundreds of times, and there are thousands of times that it happens that you're not there for. And,
it doesn't even make the news. Like that's
right. Yeah.
Because sometimes parents will go, how come we don't hear? Because that's all the news would be.
Right.
Like this is happening way more than people think it's happening. And then the other part is that's sort of like the big scary, right? Your kid being thrown in the trunk of a car. But even if we bring it down to sort of the most mundane thing that you guys deal with here with the essay contest, we're not okay with the kid being thrown in a trunk as parents, I hope. But why are we okay with the kid going to school with a knot in his chest because of what was said on Snapchat last night?
Right.
Because we're obviously cool with that. Because if we weren't, then the 5th graders wouldn't have phones. So as parents, we need to take some responsibility for what's happening.
Or are we just blind? Are we? It's
some
not that
parents don't even know.
Yeah,
some parents aren't even aware,
right.
And I get that.
Right.
But I'm talking about if I've been, and not forget me, a speaker. You become aware. You see a film. You look at the Gertsburg essay contest. If something pulls the veil away, regardless of what it is, and you keep letting the kid have the phone, keep letting the kid have the phone in the bedroom over that, I've got nothing for you. Yeah. Because you should know better. But you're right. There are a lot of parents. Why would you think that the 8-year-old's watching porn? Yeah. That should not be.
Is that the age?
The new age of onset of porn consumption is 8. And the new age of onset of porn addiction is 11. And that makes up at least 30% of the requests for help I get from kids when they come up to me.
So how new is that number? Because will we then be seeing
it'll go lower.
Are we going to see, and I don't know how to phrase it because it's boys and girls.
Oh, 50-50, almost exactly 50-50.
Because I was going to say, are we going to see males treating women
but yes,
horribly because that's what their mindset of sex is.
Yes, because there's very little feminist porn.
Right.
So whether the boys are watching it or the girls are watching it, the point is the same because the girls are getting normalized to this is how you're treated.
I see.
Right. So it's the same problem from a different perspective. But I see the porn addiction. I had a set of parents come to an event at the last year. I won't even say when, sometime. And they waited till everybody, like 400 people left the auditorium. And they came down. Dad burst into tears. Their 9-year-old daughter's addicted to porn. And she's already in treatment, which, by the way, didn't exist when I started doing this. Sex addiction didn't exist for pediatrics.
Wow.
Now that's a thing. Like that, they had to come up with treatment plans. And so she's in treatment. And mom and dad, only child, mom and dad go home every night from work, lock up their laptops in a safe, have done everything they can do. The kid's in therapy. Well, she had just, when the parents came to see me, she had just stolen her little girlfriend's iPod Touch from next door in order to continue to watch porn. It was 100% fully an addiction.
Oh, my God.
And so for me, the name of the game is prevention because I've seen kids who had to be treated for PTSD. I had a kid who came to me who told me he hadn't slept in a month. And because
of porn?
Because of something he saw that I won't tell you. I never even told my husband. It is so graphically. And look, I am no shrinking violet at all. Like I've seen some stuff. And he just described it to me and I still think about it. And this was years ago. He ended up having to be treated for PTSD in an inpatient pediatric program. So again, these are the huge, the things that keep you up at night. But my question is, why are we okay with the other stuff? You know what I mean? Like, why are we okay with you're on Instagram, you're not 4 swipes in on that explore page before you start seeing nudes?
Mm-hmm. I mean, can I give you my theory on that?
Please.
I think that parents create narratives in their mind to disguise either laziness or just not wanting to
engage,
piss off their kids. Right. So I know as I sit here right now, parents who will weave these narratives about how, it doesn't happen to my kid, or my kid's too smart, or right. And I'm sitting there like, no, I've seen you guys interact. When you try to impose a limitation on him, he freaks the hell out and you let it go.
They back down.
And I know what will happen when you try to take his iPad away.
Right.
You know? And so my theory, and this is not to overgeneralize, but there's at least some number of parents that will justify
Totally.
avoiding conflict with their kid by creating these narratives in their mind by how,
how can I get a hold of them if they're out?
Right.
They're
going to be
they call me. They'll be the only
kid on the bus. Yeah.
But that makes me laugh. So first of all, I have a daughter who's in high school. Okay. She's the only kid that she knows, that I know in her group, that doesn't have any social media.
In the world, probably.
Does she have a smartphone?
She has a smartphone. That's fairly well locked down.
Okay.
She calls it a phone-ish. So if you want your kid to be able to call you, you can do that without letting them have Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
How?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's like a...
Right.
If we want to sort of hand wave away, I'm not saying you're saying this, I'm saying I see parents that are like, well, it's just going to impact their social life. And what will she do? You know what? They'll get by. Or you know what? They won't. And they're going to end up on a therapist couch for something. It might as well be because mom didn't let her see dick pics on Instagram.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. But as parents, you need to wake the hell up.
Yeah.
Like I see this daily.
Will it be though? Will it happen?
I see a lot of parents who do a complete 180. I got to tell you, I do.
Well,
schools, entire districts.
When they hear your story, it's impactful. When you and I had lunch, and
thanks for the invite, by the way.
I'm pretty sure you
ago.
were invited, and you said you had people more important than us to talk to.
I don't remember none of that, but okay.
This was for the essay contest, and
That's right.
and I remember leaving that lunch with you, feeling like I had heard things that were going to change my life forever. Like I really had a completely different view of smartphones and social media after some of the stories that you told me, like what you just said about, the girl coming up to you.
I remember that. I totally remember that.
Yeah, I remember going home after that, and my kids, I think, were like 9 and 10 at the time, and just being mortified and just really having a kind of personal inventory, over the assumptions that I have been painting in my own head, So I suspect...
And P.S., it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
So where are these this 10-year-old, where are they connecting with an individual that turns out to not be a 10-year-old kid?
Anywhere. So social media is the big one, which P.S., and I can't say this enough times, like I even twitches just been thinking about it. Your children are not allowed to legally have social media under the age of 13. There's a federal regulation that says they're not allowed to have social media, period. There's no footnote. There's no asterisk. They're not allowed, period.
So they're lying about their birthday to get these social media
or their
accounts.
parents are letting them do it, knowing that it's 13, but letting them do it anyway. So that's A. So they're not supposed to have any social media. And B, pick a game. Any game you want. One of the most egregious currently is Roblox, which is like Minecraft, basically. And actual pedophiles have created games within the game, which Roblox is trying to clean up. But it's like, you pick one weed and 10 more grow in its place. And I had law enforcement refer a dad to me who to talk to after their sort of criminal case thing was just about done. His 9-year-old daughter was not allowed to have a phone. Good dad, super engaged, not letting her do any of that stuff. She's playing Roblox and meets a boy on Roblox, quote unquote, who ended up being, again, creepy guy in the basement, who was pretending to be a kid and said to the little girl, hey, how about we text outside of the game? And she said, oh, no, my dad's really strict. He's not going to let me do that. I'm not allowed to have a phone. He said, well, that's okay. My mom has an extra phone in the drawer. How about if I just send it to you? Like, I'll just give it to you. It's like old. And so I'll mail it to you, but don't give me your address because your dad's probably going to get mad. So give me like a friend's address, like down the street. She could just bring it to school. Cool. So little girl gets the phone in the mail from the friend at school and they start communicating. And sure enough, we're down the rabbit hole with now he has coerced her into sending him sexualized videos of her committing sexual acts on her 4-year-old brother.
Oh my God.
And the way that she's going to save the lives of her family and her brother is by sending this content to this man, which she did because she's 9 and she was terrified.
Yeah.
9.
Right.
That is disgusting.
Yes.
And,
so, and again,
evil.
and again, you know, I could give you stories like these all day.
Yeah.
And to me, if you ask anybody in law enforcement, if you ask anybody who works sex crimes, if you ask anybody in an ICAC division, that's ICAC, stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. First of all, they don't get nearly the respect, admiration, or credit that they deserve. These are the people that someone in their office has to sit there and count the number of instances of child pornography on that person's hard drive, look at each one of them, and count them for how many felonies they're going to be charged with. These people are not given enough credit at all. So for every ICAC person who ever hears this, like, just so you know, like, I don't have the money, but I would triple your salary easily. But I don't know where I was headed with that. So, but the point is that if you ask, I know what I was going to say. If you ask anyone in law enforcement, what's the one thing you would tell parents? They will all tell you the same thing. Don't give the kid the device. Without the device, there's no mechanism. There's no connection. And one of the things that really pisses me off, can I swear on the show?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the things that really pisses me off is like these sort of ruggedized little toddler tablet things. Not that they have anything bad on them, right? But because you're setting the expectation that the kid ought to own a device. Mm-hmm. So when he's sick of Caillou, as he should be immediately, then he's going to want the next device. What's the next device? And what's the next device? Mm-hmm. They don't need to be in front of a screen. And by the way, the book I'm working on now, the brain science bears that out.
Right.
So there's no question. And like on one of the morning shows, I almost said the name, the Today Show, who cares? So like on some of these morning shows, they'll go, well, we still don't know what the long-term impact, we do know. You don't know. But if you start looking at neurological studies, the jury's in.
And specifically, it's that, is it that if there's too much screen time, their brain cells start to die and they don't have the attention spans that we would want them to have.
Brain cells don't die. I love that imagery. But basically what happens is the higher, and there's a phenomenal researcher named Twenge, Twenge, and she wrote an article for The Atlantic in September 2017 called How Smartphones Are Ruining a Generation.
Is she related to Twiggy?
No. They look nothing alike.
Sorry, I just
That's
had
okay.
to.
So she has created a causal link, which you know how hard that is, right? To prove that one thing causes another. A causal link between higher screen time equals higher levels of anxiety and mood disorders. Period. And so, is it light waves? Is it the massive amount of multitasking? That's what I think the crux of it is that multitasking doesn't exist. I have this argument with my husband all the time. Yesterday, just to poke at the bear in the cage, you think he'd know better. He's like, I'm going to go multitask. I'm like, that's not a thing. Multitasking doesn't exist. You're actually switch tasking, right? And so the more you switch task, the higher your cognitive load goes. Like, have you ever gotten home at the end of a particularly mentally grueling day and you feel like if somebody asks you one more question, you're going to go postal? That's high cognitive load. And that's what we do all day, the multitasking all day.
I've always viewed it as you can't multitask. All you can do is divide the channel, right? Like there's a pipe and that represents the attention that you've got. Mm-hmm. And all you can do is divide that attention into 2 or 3 or however many individual channels you want to create. But you're not ever able to give 2 things the same amount of attention as you're able to give to one thing. You're just dividing that attention up.
You're absolutely right. And you're missing just one little piece. Yeah. And that is that instead of using pipes, let's use coins. Let's say you have 100 coins worth of attention, which is stupid. That's not a thing, but whatever. Let's say you have 100 coins of attention and you're spending 30 on doing the podcast and you're spending, you have to spend 20 to make sure the mics are working right? When you switch from listening to what we're saying to checking the box, there's a cost of 10 or 15 coins, right?
Yeah.
So there's a cost every time you switch.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I have to do that, so don't take advantage of me.
I was just using that as an example.
Don't start asking me like bad questions when I do that.
Do you also feel that the light I always think that the kids, well, they're up all night because their brains just won't shut off because they're in front of their devices. Do you think that there is a light thing that...
Well, that's been proven. Yeah, that's not even a question. So so the blue light waves scramble your circadian rhythms and convince your brain that it's wakey time. And so using your device anything less or anything more, than an hour before bedtime means you're not going to fall asleep. So everyone's devices should just be shut off and put away at least an hour before bed. Except there's always one.
Yeah.
There's always one.
He can fall asleep no matter what he's doing.
But is he sleeping well? That's the other question.
Not.
See?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not only quantity of sleep, it's quality of sleep as well, which is why, if you lose enough sleep, which, people don't appreciate unless you've been like a mom that, to me, nursing was like the ultimate, not nursing as a nurse, like breastfeeding, where you're up every 2 hours. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm going to die. Nobody cares. Like you become crazy person from sleep deprivation. And so kids are likely to make worse choices, increase their risk behavior, have less ability to regulate the stimulus and emotional inputs.
More anxiety. And I'm a firm believer of when you say make stupid choices, some of these shootings and stuff, I do believe that they are linked, I don't have any facts, but to what they're watching, what they're consuming, what they're getting, what they're putting out there, all by their phones.
So have you heard the term incels, either one of you?
No.
Okay, INCEL. So the last 5 or 6 school shootings have been committed by individuals, young men, who identify as incels. Incel means involuntary celibate. Their figurehead is the Columbine shooter.
I have heard that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they sort of deify the Columbine shooter. And they're involuntarily celibate because no girl will go out with them. And so they will refer to the girls who won't date them as Stacy's and the guys who get all the girls as Chads, and they're going to kill all of them. And so they'll go into these message boards like 8chan or 4chan or whatever and find a community that's receptive to them, and they can egg each other on. And I'm telling you, 5 or 6 have identified this way. So you're not wrong in what you're saying. And that goes back to the extremist content too, right? Like what content are kids watching? What are they looking at? What are they immersing themselves in?
When you talk about the deep web and stuff like that, I've heard about this deep web.
Yes.
I can't get to it.
Sure you can. You just don't know how.
Right. How do they know how?
Well, because they Google it. I mean, this is like, it's like porn. You're 2 clicks away from porn, from anywhere that you are. So, I mean, it's just readily available.
I can't even get my Google Calendar to sync with my calendar on my laptop. How am I supposed to? How are these kids 9, 10, and 11?
Because they're way more motivated to get to the deep web than you are to get your calendar.
And they got a lot more time on their hands.
And they've got a lot more time on their hands. That's right.
I mean, I was just telling this story about how my neighbor when I was a kid, I had to have been like 7 years old, and we found this stack of Playboys that our one neighbor was throwing out. Do you know that for the entire rest of the year we were rummaging through his trash?
Just to see if you get another stash.
Just to get like as soon we would look to see when he was taking out his trash, and I mean that like we had ideas on like, all right, when is he most likely to do it? We had these theories.
Why weren't you just spending your time looking at the Playboys
that you already had?
I don't know, because we had a lot of time on our hands, Molly.
Because they got really old really quickly.
Yeah, I guess.
Jesse,
and that was pre-waxing. Scary time in porn.
But we didn't know that. We didn't care, and we were
simple
10.
Porn time.
Practically Amish.
Back when porn was easy. Jesse, I'm curious, do you ever get any pushback from schools or parents at all?
No, I don't know why, because I'm really not that nice. I don't know why. Yeah. The schools can't wait for me to speak to the parents. What usually happens is 90%, more than 95% of the time, I speak to students and then their parents. And so when I speak to the students, I gather all this data. That's all anonymous. Hands raised, I count them, and then I give them this anonymous exit survey. And so I purposely rile the kids up because I know that they're sick of the parental hypocrisy. So I say to the kids, why as parents are we mad at you when we bought you the phone? And they're like, yeah, like, all in. And so I have them raise their hands. I write down, 50 of them using Snapchat, whatever. That's what gauges how I then am going to gear the rest of the presentation. So it's a customized audience by audience student thing. So if the 8th graders are sort of more innocent than the 5th graders, I'm going to dial it back a little, which happens, by the way, all the time. The youngest kids are engaging in the most reckless behaviors and are engaging in those reckless behaviors more often. And then I take all of that data and wrap it up into the parent event, which is hilarious. Because if I show up and don't have data, those parents are like, well, she just doesn't know how sweet my babies are. Yeah. She doesn't understand. Mm-hmm. And then I flip to the data where I get to say, 38% of 4th graders said they were going to stop watching so much porn. Of your 4th graders said they're going to stop watching porn. Or 63% of the 5th graders said they're going to stop sexting with randos or whatever. And so when I read some of these comments out from their kids, it gets super real. So the school can't wait to sort of sick me on the parents because I say all the things they can't.
Are you going to do you talk to Kenston every year?
I go wherever they pay me, my friend. I was there last year.
Were
the
you?
Year before.
Which grades? High school?
I want to say middle. And that was middle.
And how, when you say you do the exit poll and the hand raising, because they all want to be one up on the neighbor friend.
Yes.
So if you're sexting, I'm going to tell you I'm
sexting. No. I don't have them raise their hands for sexting.
Okay.
No.
So all that stuff is in your exit poll.
That's in the exit poll.
It's what are you using?
Right. And so one of the questions is, what are you going to change? And that's where they'll say, I'm going to stop going on porn sites. And that's all anonymous. But when they do raise their hands, they police each other in such a way, like, put your hand down. No, you don't. They definitely police each other. So the hands raised data, I think, is super uber accurate because they're all looking around at who's, posing or whatever, trying to be something they're not, or not raising their hand.
Right.
Like they're doing this. Like this kid doesn't, pointing. This kid doesn't have his hand up, but pointing at me to count that kid because they all know he's got a YouTube channel or whatever. Yeah.
I decided a long time ago that I could never be in sales because I hated the idea of repeating myself over and over again. And then somebody said, well, you should run for office. Right when I came back from Iraq, they were like, you would be a great candidate.
You would be a great candidate, by the way.
Well, I said, hell no, because I hate repeating myself over and over again, right? And then I realized that I've been practicing law for 18 years, 19 years, where basically I repeat myself over and over again.
And you're a parent.
Right. Well, there's that too. So when I think about having to repeat myself over and over again, it makes me tired and nauseous and like exhausted. You repeat yourself constantly and you have to keep that energy alive and that momentum and motivation going. Do you ever get like just winded? Are you ever like, ugh?
I do sometimes 6 student presentations in a row. They're each an hour long. So I'll do boom, 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 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in one day straight.
And you love it.
I do love it. I love the kids. I want to be present for them. And I get the energy from them. As long as you can make them laugh, which, I mean, what's better than a fart joke, right? Like, if you can,
there's nothing better,
right? And so if you can show them that you don't think they're an infant, they're so sick of people talking to them like they're babies. And I can't tell you how many surveys I've gotten back from kids saying, thank you for not treating us like we're babies. Thank you for understanding what we're actually doing and going through. Because when they raise their hands, I don't ever bring up porn to them ever. But when someone raises their hands and they go, what about Pornhub? I don't fall apart. I go, what about Pornhub? You know what I mean? Like if you're meeting them where they're at, I think you're giving them the respect that they're not getting at their age, because they shouldn't be saying Pornhub at 5th grade, right? And so to anyone else, that person's going to start to cry. But I've done this so often that I just give it right back to them, and I think they feel like I respect them as people versus treating them like babies.
But you don't feel ever undaunted by having to repeat yourself over and over again?
Oh, sure. I mean, there's some of that. the customizing of each presentation makes it easier, but it's really a lot of it is the same things. And by the end of the day, I'm like, did I already tell you this? Because I've forgotten from the beginning of the day. But I don't have I not be full of adrenaline. Like that's my only job. I have to do it.
Do you also do it out of a sense that this stuff needs to be said and nobody is saying it as often and as well and as intensively as you are?
I don't know about well, but I definitely get a little angry. And so I think that carries me through. And I say to the kids all the time and parents, sometimes I feel like the house is on fire and we're arguing about what color fire extinguisher to use, right? And I'm going, no, the house is on fire. So I do feel that urgency. And sometimes a school will say, all right, well, we can do it in November or we can do it in, next year or something. And I always want to do it sooner. And it has nothing to do with me getting paid sooner. Sometimes I end up, hurting myself because then I have too much, because I'd rather get there as quickly as I can. And I'd rather get there before there's a long break, because long breaks are when kids do stupid things. And right before parents buy devices. So usually my November is super packed because I want to get to parents before they buy the phone or before they buy the iPad or whatever.
How do you pull yourself back from beating the shit out of the parent that says, not my kid, no way, you don't know what you're talking about?
I've never had a parent say, not my kid, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. I think they're a little afraid of me by the end of the presentation. I don't think they're going to say that. But I do have parents say things like, well, we just don't believe in just disturbing their privacy. We just, when things come up organically, then we'll discuss them. And if that's sort of your baseline, then you might as well give the 9-year-old a fifth of tequila, the keys to the car, and a box of condoms. Like if that's where you're at. The point is that this is supposed to be developmental, right? And so we talk about driving when driving time comes. Or we're like, you see Aunt Kathy over there, how she texts while she's driving? You're totally not going to do that. But you leave these little Easter eggs as you go along, right, to educate your kids. But you can't wait till after they've seen the horrifying porn to talk about the fact that exists. And if you don't give a kid the device, then you can delay that conversation. But if you're going to give the 9-year-old a device, then you have to have the conversation about porn and cyberbullying and all that. You have a choice. You have to have the conversation.
Are you for going and looking? Are you for knowing your kid's passwords? Are you for...
What I tell parents is if your kid changes their password without alerting you, that's a hammerable offense. That's, for me, a hammer goes through the glass. And then there's no more device and there's no more problem. Mm-hmm. They cannot change their passwords without you knowing. I have a family contract in the book, which is on the Facebook page, by the way. Anyone can grab it for free if they want. I think the kids should know you're snooping. I think it gives them a sense of peace that you're snooping. And I can't tell you how many kids have said, and I actually wrote a whole article about it. I wrote a piece called something like, your kids want you to say no to them, and I have proof. And I took the data from 16 different schools, 8,800 surveys. And one of the questions on the survey is, what would you tell parents? Kid filling out the survey, what do you think parents need to know? And you would think, like if you ask a kid, you'd think that the kid would be like, tell my mom I should be able to play Fortnite 39 hours. Wait, there's not 29 hours a day. Like you'd think that's not what they say. What they say is, Mom, you need to tell us no. That's what kids write on their survey. Mm-hmm. You need to take my phone away at night because you tell me not to use it all night, but then I go grab it when you're asleep and you don't even know I'm on it all night. Kids want boundaries. They want to use us as an excuse. So the best thing you can do is snoop and tell them you're doing it, because then they get to tell their friends, you don't understand, my mother's insane. If I put that on the phone, she's going to find it. Mm-hmm. But not snooping that's not okay.
Is there, are you aware of any software that will give the parents a complete record of what their kids are doing on their phone?
Not complete. Different things are good at different things. Like the Verizon software has some really great features if you're a Verizon customer. It's also very easy. Like the minute you hit it, it like instantly takes hold on the kid's phone. I particularly like just shutting my daughter's phone off just because it makes me laugh. She screams. Because that's just fun. If
you do that Verizon thing, does the person you're doing it to, do they see that you've just done that?
Well, when she tries to use her phone.
Right, but that's shutting down.
No,
but what about?
No,
I mean like,
right.
yeah. No, they know.
Okay.
They know. So she knows what's limited or for her, mostly the limits are obviously no social media, but also time of day. Right. So at a certain time of day, the phone is basically useless unless she's calling my husband and I. She can still use it as a phone, which is kind of the point. And so she can call us at any time or people you put on a list. Right. So Verizon does a really good job of that. There are certain apps that will allow you to get a record of every text sent and received, even if they've deleted them. To me, that's gold. Because I do not read all of my daughter's. That would be a descent into madness. Right. But if every so often, I'll just spot check. Or
do you know what app that is?
Yeah, that's called Custodio. QUSTODIO.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yep. But there's other things. There's like Covenant Eyes is for porn, not for porn, to fight against porn. But there's lots of others. You just have to find what features have value for you and your kid. I mean, that's really the name of the game.
So I want to go back to a question I asked you about 15 minutes ago, and you can probably tell that it's a personal one.
It's okay.
So
she'll bill you later.
Well, part of the problem is I'm divorced, right? And so there are rules in my house that are not the same rules as in my ex's house. So, but the good news is I pay the cell phone bill and I have the ability to control screen time and apps. And I will tell you this. I mean, I'm surprised by how much I'm able to limit in terms of time and apps that they use. And they can't do any in-app purchases or buy anything with it. I mean, I do have a lot of control, but I don't currently control social media. And the more I talk to you, the more I want to. But but then I also realize that this is how this is going to play out. It's going to be World War III, right? Mm-hmm. And so what do you say?
How old are your kids?
14 and 13.
Right in prime time.
But prime time, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you have another one.
And 5. Yeah.
Okay.
5, almost 6. That's right. Yeah.
But the 6 will be easier because if you don't start it, then that'll be easier.
Although her mom already bought her one of those little pink things. It drives me crazy.
Okay.
All right. Here. So okay. So here's how this. So it's World War III, right? Now I'm the asshole dad. Mm-hmm. What do you say to parents who, let's say they're married and everything's fine? They're like, all right,
they disagree.
No, or just, all right, I have been way too permissive.
Yeah.
Right. And now I want to dial it back. And my kids are going to hate me for a while. What do you say to them?
I think the best way to approach it is to go to your children honestly and say, I didn't know all this stuff. Like, I didn't know. I saw the crazy lady and now I know. But I didn't know all this stuff. And so now that I know it, we're going to do something as a family. We're going to do something together. And so that means I'm not going to bring my phone to the dinner table either. I'm not suggesting you do this personally. I'm saying in general. So this is going to be a kumbaya moment for the whole family to say we're all going to make a change, because it's not just about, and this is what bugs kids, right? This is the hypocrisy that really pisses them off, and they're right. We give them the thing, and then we get mad at them for using the thing, right? And mom uses the thing whenever she wants, and dad uses it. Dad's working, quote unquote, but he's really watching SportsCenter.
But I'm specifically talking about social media, Minecraft, Roblox, all that stuff. Like everything you just said, my kids are on Instagram. My kids are on.
But I now know it's the devil. And so here's what we're going to do. No more Roblox. You could play Minecraft till you puke. Minecraft is great, but no more Roblox, and here's why. Are you already the asshole dad?
Yeah.
Then what do you care?
Yeah, no,
It's not that far to descend. I'm just saying.
Well, so what I'm thinking about now is like just social media, like because those kids love Instagram, love it,
right?
So just so you know, I follow your son.
You follow my son?
Mm-hmm. So just so you know, you didn't know that, but you didn't know that.
I didn't know that Molly followed.
Right.
This is my point.
Right, and I probably shouldn't be now that I think about it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this is the perfect example.
Right.
In this case, it's totally benign.
Is it benign? Does he ever post anything?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
No, I meant benign from Molly in. I
Right.
don't know what the kid does out.
Right.
I meant that Molly's
Right.
not the moist guy in the basement.
No,
I'm
but,
saying.
but Molly's not that benign. No, I'm just joking.
Stop that.
I'm joking. So no, yeah, you're right. I am already the asshole dad, and but it's like
Which they do appreciate, by the way. I want you to know
They
that.
could show it a little more.
It doesn't. Oh, you're not going to see
You
it
won't
now.
get that until
You're not going to
they're
see it
older.
now. Yeah.
Until they're older.
Yeah.
But I like the way you put that, right? I mean, we grow in what we learn. We evolve in our understanding of things.
But dig a little more into the divorce part, though. Like, what happens when you're controlling it, and then they go to mom's and they have.
I've seen it a billion times.
I'll give you
They
I'll give you the exact situation. So it's not a handheld device thing. That's not the issue. Although the social media thing, that is on their handhelds. No, the issue is that we had agreed that they would not have TV and internet in their rooms.
Oh.
Right. And in my house, they don't.
They don't.
But over there, they got screens. They got and so that was a big source of dispute between the two of us.
So
when
now
we got
here's the
divorced.
question: what kind of screen do they, besides the TV? What kind of screen do they have in them?
One's got a TV. Well, they both have Chromebooks, and
School issued?
yes, but one also has his own personal one that he uses supposedly for gaming.
Okay.
There's also just a TV.
Because there's no reason you can't game on the school-related Chromebook, but okay.
My kids are.
Are they
criminals.
smart TVs?
The one downstairs.
And is there a difference between a smart TV and a?
Yeah, but once you can plug anything into a regular TV and turn it into like
And
you
those
plug a
games
Roku
you're
in.
talking
HDMI.
about, because I had girls, and although I don't, it's not a gender thing, but I don't know
No,
those
more boys
games.
play. That's
Are
fair.
they on a TV or are they on their laptop? Or
It's all
It's
three.
everything.
And the big one now.
They can go on Steam. They can.
I know
do
they
any
talk
stuff.
to each other, right?
Yeah.
To
Yes.
strangers.
Oh yeah, they got
People
their
they're
phone.
playing.
They got their phone on, and they're talking through their phone while they're playing. And the big one is what's the big game that
Fortnite.
Fortnite. I mean that
Which in and of itself is super benign, by the way.
Is
The
it?
game itself.
I just worry. What worries me about those is that I can't confirm that they're playing with kids they know.
Right, but in the grand scheme, I would worry less about that and worry more about the fact that your kid has a second Chromebook that isn't being monitored by the school for some reason.
Yeah.
So
Do they play
Yeah.
that game that's the devil?
Roblox.
Roblox.
I'm gonna find out.
It's ROBLOX.
Yeah. I know. I know.
It's usually just younger kids, so I doubt your older one's playing it. It would be the younger one, or maybe the 5-year-old starting to get interested in playing it.
And that's where the pedophiles are.
Well, I mean, in lots of places, but there in particular. I had a 4th grade girl tell me that men on Roblox try to date her. And then I started asking other kids, and they're like, yeah, like it's Tuesday. Like it's not a big deal. Because the sexual predators are using normalizing language like dating to make this seem okay.
So we've covered the predators and we've covered screen time, but the bullying I want to talk about for a few more minutes,
Yep.
right? So clearly, social media is just an easy platform for cyberbullying, including anonymous. I mean, we know just from the essay contest that was a major. I mean, people had tons of stories,
Sure.
right? So we know it happens all the time. Yes, you've got the option of just saying no social media, right?
Which doesn't end the story for cyberbullying, to your point.
Yeah. Is there something that you think they can be talking about at school with the schools? Is there something the schools can do? I mean, this goes back to the essay contest. Is there something that people can do in general that you think might minimize cyberbullying? Other than just saying no social media.
Yeah, because saying no social media is not solving it,
Right?
Really, because a lot of bullying happens just in games. So I mean, that's not solving anything, and that's not solving it completely. It's solving it partially, maybe. I think that the issue with cyberbullying again goes back to the psychosocial piece, right? It goes back to this idea that my self-worth is calculated by a third-party group of people who I may or may not know. So how I feel about myself is determined by my Instagram followers.
And likes.
And it's quantified, right? And so that psychosocial piece is huge because that's why the cyberbullying becomes so heavy. Because if you don't really believe it in the first place, then it's not going to weigh on you as heavily as if you did.
Yeah.
And so what I tell kids is you're going to get caught. Like, I'm not the one that comes in and, you know, says, you should be better people. I come into schools and explain to them, cyberbullying is the easiest thing to prove, and you're going to get caught. It takes seconds to figure out who sent what to whom. So I try to approach it from the aggressor perspective, and then from the victim perspective. Why are you Why are you telling people where you're gonna be? I call it gonna be content, and this comes from the parents too. We're gonna be on vacation in 2 weeks. We're on vacation right now. Here's a picture of my foot and my margarita that nobody wants to see. And so some of this is parent influence as well, right? No, Molly, you're the only exception to the next thing I'm going to say. If you're over 40 and taking selfies, you should punch yourself in the face repeatedly.
Except me.
Except Molly.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is your brand. Nobody cares what you had for dinner. Nobody cares. And so when we wrap ourselves in, I'm on vacation with my family, but I'm going to post this picture to Facebook right now while I'm on vacation, that means that what other people think about my vacation is more important than the people I'm with. And granted, kids don't imitate the good stuff we do. Like, my kid doesn't clean the toilet well because she's seen me do it. They always imitate the crap behavior that we do. But by the same token, if you are wrapping your whole home, I'm writing this piece. It says a stupid title. It's called "What is the Flavor of Your Fulcrum?" Right? So it's basically, what's the flavor of the thing upon which everything pivots? And if it's public opinion, or you're talking at the dinner table, did you see that the neighbors just bought a new car? Like, if that's where you live as a family.
Isn't that how we've always lived?
Not me.
I mean,
as a kid, you mean?
Well, it wasn't on social media, but there was gossip in the neighborhood of what car the neighbors got. And can't we blame ourselves for the bully? We totally started bullying. Not we in particular, our generation, generationally. But like, we were putting kids in the skinny kid in the locker. The locker. Uh-huh. We were hanging them, not me, but hanging them up in the rafters, and the kid with the book got pushed. And I mean, watch Grease, for goodness sakes. Right. That's been going on with the 50s. I mean, we all are to blame for all of it.
I agree with that. However, I think we have to be really careful that we don't go too far in a pendulum swing in the other direction. Mm-hmm. Because I'm seeing a lot of ooey gooey kids who can't be told when they're acting like a little douche.
I agree.
And they can't be told
they need to be
when they're acting like they need. Maybe the kid needs to go in the garbage can, is what I'm saying to you. But that's for mom to do, not for the kid at school to do.
Yes.
But to be too delicate with these kids is not doing them any kind of favors. Mm-hmm. And, I can remember one of my kids, eating like a Viking and didn't stop doing it till a kid at school said it. Then all of a sudden, the skies parted and the angels sang. All I'm saying is not everything is bullying.
Right.
Right? And I think we make a mistake in like putting some warp shield around the kids. Nobody can be mean to him. Don't mention the fact that he wears the same shirt every single day for a year. Someone needs to go, dude, what's with the blue shirt? Enough with the blue shirt already.
Yeah.
Can I enough with the blue shirt already, Mom.
It's black.
That's hilarious.
My shirt is always black. But they're different. They're different shirts.
They're clean, different shirts.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what is it about Jesse Weinberger that has spawned this Jesse Weinberger, right? With someone with this much passion and intensity about this subject.
She's a New Yorker. That's why.
If
hard.
So if someone sitting next to Molly was like one of your childhood friends, or maybe your mom, or like, what would they be? How would they be answering that question? Like how would somebody say, "Of course, this is how she ended up"? Let me tell you this story, right?
Well, the terrifying part about that is that my best friend from college just came to see me like a week ago, who claims I've mellowed out. This is me mellow. Let's just make that clear. That's a good jumping off point. I'm from Hollis, Queens, born and raised. I went to 12 years of Catholic school, but my mother's Southern Baptist. That's not right at all.
I don't know what that means.
Exactly. Neither do I.
Was anyone Catholic in your family?
Nobody was Catholic in my family.
But
me.
It could have been just the best school.
It was the school.
Queens.
It was the best. It was the best school where we were. It was the bottom line.
So you were where in Queens?
Hollis, Jamaica. Queens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know where Run DMC used to live?
Well, Rev Run is one person, and yes, and LL Cool J lived in Hollis, and so did Spinderella from Salt and Pepper. In fact, Spinderella and I, now that she knows about how I am, we dated two guys in the same basketball team.
Oof.
Yes, we
Let's
did.
get her on on the phone right now.
Back in the day. But I'm first generation American. I'm a child of immigrants. I didn't speak till English till I was like 5 or 6. And, the parenting ethos, if there was one, of my mom was just like, life doesn't give you anything. Like, I don't know what you think is going to happen here, but the only things you're going to get out of the world are the things you claw and fight for. So if I were you, I would get on the stick, kid. Like, I don't think you're that bright even. So if I were you.
You got your beauty, though,
I
girl.
would study really hard, kid. And then, I just tend to be a disciplined, not always, not as a kid, but now I see the value of, you're only going to get the respect that you demand. You're only going to get the results that you demand. Parenting is not a passive sport. And by the way, for anyone listening, don't have children. This is my recommendation. Don't have children unless you always desire to have children. I adore my kids. I wanted them. But if you're on the fence, dude, you know how much disposable income you'll have left? It's ridiculous. No one will pee on you. Your boobs aren't going to fall. None of that's going to happen. Yeah. Why would you do that to yourself if you don't even know if you want kids or not? This is an all hands on deck endeavor. And if you don't want to do that, then don't do it.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Long Island University, and then I came out to Ohio because I wanted to leave New York. And my girlfriend said, well, there's the school, and there's one stoplight. And I said, sold.
What school was that?
Ohio Northern University.
Oh, yeah.
And then my first night, I got to the Hardee's in town, and my roommate, who I just met, was like, I think I should come with you. So we go down to the Hardee's, and I said, all right, I'll have a chocolate shake and whatever my order. And she goes, how are you tonight? And I looked at my new roommate and said, is she screwing with me right now? She's like, no. Just say it again slower.
Oh,
what did she say to me? Started to kick her ass.
She's screwing with me.
All right. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
I remember in your talk, you said there was only 2 things that a parent has to provide.
Yes.
Is it 2?
2.
And what are those? By
only
law,
2?
they have to provide.
Oh, but I thought you meant something else.
Oh, okay.
Well, what I say your job description only has 2 items on it, which is get them out. They have to go and not come back. And the second thing is to create a human being who gives more than they take. So you can call that God or religion or character, you call it whatever you want. You're referring to the fact that I called child services. My girlfriend works with child services and asked them, what do I have to provide?
Yes.
And she said, you have to provide a mattress. You do not have to provide sheets. And so I explained that to my child at the time. Yes. And
that's actually a really good metaphor, too.
Right?
Was that a metaphor? Or was that
no,
for real?
It's for real.
That's a real thing?
It's for real.
I kind of like the metaphor
it's
of
it.
It's like, I got to give you a place to put your butt and your back, but I don't have to make you comfortable.
No, not at all. And all the rest of it can go.
Yeah. And there are people that don't even have the mattress.
That don't even have that. That's absolutely correct. Yeah. As kids in this community walk around with $45 water bottles that I wanted to beat them to death with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I love about you, Jesse?
What do you love about me?
Is that you have really good...
censorship?
No, like you go straight.
No.
You go straight from like 0 to I want to beat the shit out of them. Like
Yes.
every time. There's no like
No.
they must die.
Dude, this is me mellow.
I love it.
This is me
It's
mellow.
what we want to be saying.
I know. It is. She's
politically, we
articulating
can't.
our thoughts. That,
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
here. We're going to take a very short break for a word from our sponsors. Do you know who our sponsors are?
I have no idea.
It's the Gertsburg Law Firm.
How did I not know that?
And we'll be right back. Hey folks, Alex Gertsburg here. I am CEO of the Gertsburg Law Firm and Cover My Six, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I wanted to take a quick second to tell you about something special we're doing at Cover My Six. If you own or run a business, I want you to go to covermysix.com to see if you qualify for a no-cost business vulnerability assessment. My business lawyers will meet with you in person, go over your customer contract, your employee handbook, and your other key legal documents, and help you spot any legal minefields that they see. We'll also give you some guidance on how to stop those minefields from blowing up your business. So go to covermysix.com to see if you qualify and to sign up. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show. We're back.
That was the
All right.
longest break
Oh my goodness.
ever.
You are. Did you say yes? You are ready for the lightning round?
I don't know what it is, but sure. How bad could it be?
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
It's pretty intense.
All right.
Molly,
Yes.
would you like to ask your first lightning round?
All right.
question?
Can I just point out to everyone who's listening that a piece of paper and a plastic sheet has been brought out
With highlights.
I
We
don't
need-
know if that's to protect it from the projectile vomit
Yes.
that's about to
We have
escape
to
my
make
face.
it very
That was a
specific. So when I read it, the highlights are really what I should be reading.
okay, go for it, go
It's
for it.
Molly proof.
Also, Molly spills things a lot.
Is that what it is? All right.
Okay, so this will be an interesting question because I don't even know if you do this, but what are you binging?
I try not to binge. I'm a big binger when let to my own devices. Like I've seen the entire Sopranos series beginning to
just
end at
watched
least a good
that.
30 times. But right now I'm watching Castle Rock on Hulu,
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
Stephen King. I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good series.
We
And
wa-
if you're a Stephen King fan, you can find the Easter eggs. Like there's all these Easter
Tons.
eggs.
Yeah, we watched half of that season, and my ADD has prevented me from finishing it. But yeah, there's so many references to all of his other books and characters in
Yeah.
it. And you know, Castle Rock was the town in Stand By Me.
Yes.
Which he
and
wrote?
Yeah. And actually, the one blonde girl is the niece of Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. Like if you,
Really?
yeah, if you watch it again and then like it's Claiborne ice cream, which is Dolores Claiborne from like, you could just go through like,
Yeah.
a ton of references.
Did you ever read On Writing, his memoir?
I have it.
It's
and
amazing.
it's marked up and
Yeah.
bent and yes.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Um,
I just started watching Difficult People with Billy Eisner.
Is it good?
Did you ever watch Billy on the Street?
No.
is it Eisner or Eichner?
Eichner, he has the lazy eye. I love him. He's okay. He'll tell you he has a lazy eye. It's not
I know
not a
Billy on the Street.
surprise.
Yeah.
Oh my god! So he has his
Are
own.
you saying his own lazy eye doesn't surprise him? Is that
No,
what you're
he
saying?
knows. He knows. I'm not telling him something he doesn't know. No, he's hysterical. And I was watching an episode. They were talking about Christian Siriano, and then all of a sudden he was in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
your daughter in it? Standing next to him?
No, this was taken a couple of years ago.
Difficult People. I'll have to look that up.
It's fun. You would love
Okay.
to watch some Billy on the Streets.
Okay.
You could almost do a Sugar on the Streets. Like she could be the host of that.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's hysterical.
Wait, I have a follow-up question on that.
Yes.
Have you watched The Great Hack?
No.
You would love The
seen
Great
it.
Hack, and it will. Did you watch it? It's a Netflix documentary about the Cambridge Analytica.
Oh yeah, I'm not
Oh
going to
my
watch
God.
that. No.
Dude, it will piss you off so
I'm
much.
sure.
But it's really, really powerful and really well made, and I actually recommend it to every
I will
single
watch it.
person.
No, I will
It's
watch it.
So good.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
will
good.
watch it.
You would actually appreciate it and understand it in ways that most of us won't. I
Yeah.
think because you live that.
I've cut out so many. I get the New York Times, the print version every single day, and I just cut tons of stuff just to keep on file. So I've got a whole Cambridge.
It's so good. It's such a great documentary. Go ahead, Molly.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Your perfect day.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Mm-hmm. My perfect day is, you know how people say, what does heaven look like? So this is the heaven. A completely stocked library, a bottomless cup of coffee, and silence. Complete solitude.
That sounds like my living hell.
That sounds like my perfect day.
Complete
sounds like my perfect hell.
Solitude. I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to hear anything. Quiet, books, coffee, leave me alone.
Coffee I'd be fine with.
Yes.
The books and silence.
You actually started scratching, I think, just then.
I know. I'm allergic to silence, I think, and books.
And books.
Molly.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I would be a career officer in the Air Force. I'd be
Yeah, you'd be good at that.
Judge advocate. Well, I was in the Air Force, but
is that right? Were you really?
Yeah, I had to leave on a medical disqualification. I have a minor heart nothing thing, but it was enough to get me booted, and it was like the biggest. It's the only time in my life that I could say I was like depressed. Not that being depressed is bad, but I'm saying that was the only time that I can remember being like, "What the hell am I supposed to do now?" Because that was the only thing I wanted to do. I had no intention of getting married. I had no intention of having children. And that's it. So that's what I would be doing. Hands down, easily. Not even a question. Yep.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really super concerned about the neuro stuff. I'm really super concerned about how many hours kids are spending in front of a screen. Because it's not going to end well. And we're going to see mental health issues quadruple. We're going to see suicides go even higher than they already are. Yeah.
Can I ask another follow-up question, Molly?
Sure.
What do you say to parents who say that when the kids are playing Fortnite for 2 or 3 hours, they are, although they are sedentary, right, they are having social interactions the same way that they would be if they were playing like Capture the Flag?
Well, I have no problem with them playing Fortnite. Actually, kind of like Fortnite.
Other than that, it takes 6 hours.
That's the thing,
lives,
right?
Yeah.
So I usually tell parents no more than 1 hour of non-academic time. So if they want to spend that whole hour, and each kid's different. So you may have one kid who's perfectly fine with an hour and a half, another one who shouldn't get more than 10 minutes. Like it goes kid by kid. I have no problem with the social interaction. Some gaming is actually good for the brain. It lights up different parts of the brain that aren't lit up by other things. The problem is when it's their only social interaction. That's the problem, because you have kids now who have grown up with too much screen time, with impacted executive function. They don't know how to plan. They present as having ADHD and they don't. It's because they haven't had the ability to be bored and to be quiet and to interact physically, socially. And all of those things make a long-term impact. Even moms and dads who are looking at a device a lot while the child's an infant, long-term executive function impact there, because I'm looking at the phone instead of looking at the baby's face. So I forgot what the question was, but okay.
Fortnite, social
Fortnite.
interaction.
No,
You
I'm fine with
You
it.
answered
I'm
it,
fine
yeah.
with it. It just they need to have regular social interaction.
What about FaceTiming with your grandbabies when you can't be with them?
That's okay. Just stop licking the screen, Molly.
But I mean, I do worry about that, though.
They don't need to be FaceTiming you.
I know.
They don't live that far. That's gross.
Oh, I gotta see
Stop
'em.
doing that.
Gotta see them. I can't.
You're like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what happens.
Okay, and I think I'm done.
Jesse, you are stranded,
Oh God.
shipwrecked on a desert island.
Jason
for
Momoa. Oh, that wasn't the question. I'm
A
sorry.
minimum.
I'm sorry. I was answering a question in my head.
You could still. It could still work in this
Answering for my
context.
dream last night.
Aquaman.
All right.
Sorry.
Give it a second. Let me finish the question. For a minimum of 3 months, but which could be the rest of your life, you have no idea.
Okay.
You may bring with you any single author's entire bibliography. Who's the author?
Bibliography of everything they've written, or everything in their literal bibliography?
everything that they've written.
Everything they've written. Stephen King.
Oh,
Easily.
good. Excellent. You are shipwrecked on a desert island.
Jason Momoa. I'm sorry.
Could be. That could be the answer here, but it'd be weird. What if that would have been the bibliography in question? I don't care what he's written.
Who cares?
He's coming.
He can't read. Who cares?
You may bring with you any single musician's entire discography.
You too.
Interesting. That's a first. I don't think we've gotten that one yet.
That's because you haven't had anyone with any sense of musical taste on your show before.
Whoa, that was aggressive, Jesse.
Wow, slam down.
Jeez, take it easy. You must really like YouTube. Jesse, what is the...
I can't wait for the last question.
I know, it's going to be awesome.
God.
What is the habit or routine? This is not it. What is the habit or routine that you do on a regular basis that gives you the most mileage?
If I'm able to, because I spend a lot of time writing. So if I'm able to get up by 6 and I'm able to get in at least 2 or 3 hours of concentrated writing done, then I can get at least a good 2,500, 3,000 words done, only if I'm not interrupted. And if I can't get up that early, then the rest of the house makes me want to stab myself in the eye.
And what would make you not be able to get up at 6?
For whatever reason, if I was up till 2 working, or if I
Okay.
just don't feel like it, or whatever.
Okay.
But I try the most I can to get up. And that's a new-ish thing, because I've been trying to fit it in between. But I know if I get up early enough, then I can get it done. And I guess you might like this. I just, about a month ago, bought a typewriter. And so,
Really?
Yes, I write everything I write longhand. But if I'm taking notes on something, like if I'm reading a medical study and taking notes on it, I can type faster than I can write longhand. So I type the notes as I'm reading the study.
But why not a computer?
Because the computer holds a billion different distractions. Even if you don't go on the internet, it's still, there's a wavy line under that word that you just misspelled, or there's formatting, or there's whatever. This is just pure, lots of things are spelled wrong. Nothing matters. You're just stream of consciousness. Nothing else is impacting it.
I
and
feel
it's been
Alex
amazing.
is going to be buying a
No. But
typewriter.
can I make a suggestion to you?
Please.
Have you ever heard of this thing called the Pomodoro Technique?
Yes.
So that helps me stay focused because I have severe ADD. And
do?
It's true. And I set that timer, and I know that for at least whatever I set it to, 25 minutes or whatever, I don't let myself get off of that page no matter what. So I turn all my notifications off, put my phone away.
Right, but I mean just even spell check, formatting,
Well,
all of that becomes a distraction.
Yeah.
I'm talking, did you read Deep Work?
Parts of it.
Okay, so you didn't read Deep Work deeply? Is that what
I
you're
got
saying?
I got distracted.
You got distracted. Okay. So to me,
It doesn't take much, is your point.
I'm very
Yeah.
easily distracted.
Yeah.
Right? And so if I can tune it all out, I can easily just whip out 9-10 pages of notes.
And you do it in silence, you said. Or you read in silence.
In silence.
See, I can't do
Silence.
anything in silence. I need music.
I
brain
do
works
classical. I can do classical that
That's
doesn't
what I
have
do.
like a classical
Classical
without words,
studying.
instrumental.
I think it's called classical for studying. Is
Like on
the-
Spotify, I use
or
that.
Pandora or something.
Okay.
But I've been turning it off because
Because if
silence is
I'll
better.
sing or I'll start humming it or
With words, it's no good if you're
Oh.
writing. Yeah.
see, that's why I just stick to children's books,
Okay.
writing them, not reading.
Not reading. I thought, so before I ask you the traditional final lightning round question that's going to blow your mind, Molly,
it?
I have, because this is our 99th episode, I'm going to introduce a brand new lightning round question that I've never
Wow.
asked before.
Wow.
And depending on how this goes, I may never ask again.
Or we'll
But
call it
don't
the Jesse.
use me as a gauge because I'm not
I
a good
don't
gauge
know.
for what normal
No,
people do.
I think you're going to knock this out of the park, actually. Okay.
Did you just think of it right now?
No, I thought about it over the weekend.
Okay. Okay.
And then I want to hear yours too, your answer. How will you have defined a life well lived on your deathbed?
There's a great quote that I have on my computer by Jackie Robinson that says that the something like the only meaning you have in life is the impact you've had on other people. Something like that. You think I'd memorize it? It's on my computer. But we have the opportunity. Like, one of my favorite shows is the new Queer Eye. Have you seen the new series on Netflix? And what I love about it is the changes they make in these people's lives are subtle. They're not a big deal. And yet they turn people's lives completely around. And it's mostly because somebody cared, I feel like. I think, like 90% of it is really somebody just cared enough to engage. And so it seems that we should all feel responsible to do something to help things get better, even if it's just in your own little patch. Maybe, it's just your neighbor needing something or whatever. And it sounds sort of cliched, but if you're not here, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So if you're not here to do something better, then go on the raft with Caillou and Peppa Pig. Like, I don't know what's like, if you're here just for yourself, we don't need you. We can easily cleanse you out of the evolutionary chain. Like, be here to do something better for someone else. Or why are you here? It's just stupid. See, even my nice cliches are angry. Did you notice that?
I did.
Okay,
I did.
Good.
You've got some pent up shit going on.
I've got some stuff. I've got some stuff.
Has anyone ever said that that you remind them of Bethany Frankel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just said something that just was like, oh,
yeah,
sister.
I don't know Bethany, but that was a good answer, and it's interesting because it also articulated what Molly and I made as the test for who we would interview here as people who have impact, right? People who have impact on other people's lives, either deeply or broadly. Molly, I'd
say the same thing.
Same thing, same answer.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what you're going to get a lot of.
My answer includes that. Mine is living your life according to solid principles, and while at the same time helping people and getting as much joy and excitement out of it as you can while you're on this planet. Right? Because I think that there is, I'm reminded every single day that my being here and alive and healthy and not living in a refugee camp in frickin' Syria is a miracle.
That's right.
Of complete random fate.
That's right.
Like, I just hit like a DNA lottery, And then lately I've been having this realization. So I write in my journal every single morning. And lately I've been realizing how it was just like a minute ago that it was yesterday morning. And it was just a minute before that it was, all those other mornings that I've been writing in this journal, and how tomorrow is going to be here in the blink of an eye.
If you're lucky to get there.
Yeah, exactly. And so that makes me want to fill my time here with excitement and joy, in addition to bringing that same level of excitement and joy into other people's lives and creating good experiences for them and helping them with their problems. So all of that to me constitutes a life well lived for me, is getting as much joy and excitement out of life while making other people's lives easier and better.
Well, and let me just add some angry seasoning to that beautiful answer you just gave, which is that in order to do that, my perspective, in order to do that, you have to say no. You have to say no to a lot of stuff. You have to say no to a lot of people.
Right.
And I'm so good at that. And time is the only currency we've got. That's it. And you're not in control of it. You can't save it. You can't gift it. You can't hoard it. And so I refuse. And this is a function also of tipping over the 45-year-old mark, I feel like, right? Like, that's just, you get a little angry. You get a little angry. And so I refuse to spend one moment doing something that I don't, not like I don't want to, not in a bratty Caillou kind of way, but in a like that is not.
I think you have stock in Caillou because you've mentioned
he
it
doesn't have nipples.
multiple times.
They didn't draw nipples on. That means he's an alien. He needs to die. But
What is he?
He's a child.
He's a bald kid.
He's a bald
Although
kid.
I heard that he was supposed to be a kid that has autism.
That is a lie.
Do you feel bad?
That
Would
is
you
a
feel
lie.
bad if that were true?
Trying.
Would you feel guilty if that were true?
He does not present as any kind of a kid I have ever met with autism. I will
I'm
take
just
a
saying,
kid.
that's what I heard.
I would take any child that I know. I know my girlfriend's son has autism. I would take any of those kids over Caillou. I think a kid with autism would want to punch Caillou.
I may have totally made that up.
I was going to say, and if they
I'm
were
pretty
doing
sure.
that, I think that would come out because they would want that to be
no.
out
And Caillou's
there.
been in the soup for 20 years, so no.
All right. Hey,
Caillou
are
is
you
not
ready
awesome.
for the final?
Let's
final
go.
lightning
You
round
built
question?
it up a lot. It better not
Right, I
suck
know.
now.
I ain't gonna
It
lie.
is
This
now.
is
You
serious
better not
shit
suck.
right here.
All right.
What is an embarrassing thing about yourself that very few people know, and for extra credit,
Oh, jeez.
for bonus points,
Yeah.
that nobody else knows?
That nobody else knows.
Come on, you had done some fun things in Queens.
Embarrassing.
Some
Could be
embarrassing
anything.
things
Could be
in
something
Queens.
she's doing now. Could be whatever.
I don't know. An embarrassing thing no one knows about me. I'm kind of an open book. There's like not much people don't know. I danced in a cage in college, but that's no big deal.
Let's dig into that.
What kind of cage are we talking
Someone
about? here?
hadn't shown up for a gig, and my friend was a club promoter. And I said, I can make how much money?
I think that's pretty
Right.
awesome.
I get
That
to
is
wear
pretty awesome.
clothes and be all the way up there. Yeah, I think I can do that.
Huh.
But that's not unknown.
I didn't know.
Well, nor
that.
embarrassing, by the way.
Well, if it were me, it would be.
Don't say that.
How much did you get paid by?
Well, he paid me, but then people would roll up my throw in the cage.
Folks listening at home, if you've got video
do
of
a
this,
picture as a
it's
video.
not-
Send them in, please.
I did. This isn't something people don't know either, but I dance while I'm cleaning.
Oh,
I do. I'm Cuban, so I like. It's hard to not when you have
That's true. You have to, or they kick
wide
you out of the club.
swath of
Yeah.
mocha running
Yeah.
right through the center. I do that. I don't know. I don't know what else people wouldn't know. I'm kind of an open book. I don't know. I'll call my two best friends from high school and I'll.
yeah,
Well, we
we'll
keep-
call them.
Yeah,
we
sure.
keep saying that if you don't have a good answer, then other people who know you have to call in and send us by email what you should have said. But nobody ever does
No.
because they like our guest more than they like us, which is fine. I do too.
Yeah,
But
I don't know what they would say.
But see, I feel like Jessie would totally.
yeah.
It's not about her being shy or nervous
really
to tell
can't
us.
think
No, I
of it.
agree. I think she's just
She
spacing
would
out.
totally tell us
Yeah,
that
or
she
yeah.
I'm literally
pooped
trying to
on
really
the,
think
at
of
the movie
something.
theater or something like that.
Oh God, no, that would be awesome. No, I never did that. I never did that.
Poop stories make an
They-
appearance in this
yeah,
question a
and
lot.
they piss our producer off a lot.
Why? Because he's to clean it out.
I know we had one person that sat that on a Broadway stage did that, and we kept bringing it up show
That was a great
after
one.
show.
Yeah, you want to listen to the Rob Sapp episode, folks? That's a great one.
Okay.
All right. Here, Molly, I'm going to officially declare episode 9 a formal
99.
success. What did I say?
9.
99, a formal success.
I
This has been
agree.
awesome.
I
Jesse,
absolutely
thank you
agree.
very much. Is there
Yes.
anything that you are currently working on that you want or thinking about that you want to put out there into the universe before we stop talking?
No,
And where can people find you too? We need to know that.
just go to overnightgeek.com and you'll go to the website. But I'm working on the other book, and I'm working on a kid's version of Boogeyman that is meant to be used in schools as a book study for students. One of the things that bothers me is that, first of all, I can't be everywhere at once. And secondly, that there are schools who can't afford to have me come out. So my plan is to create audio pieces, video, and that's why I need to spend most of my time writing and creating content, so that then those schools have the means to educate their students and their parents. even if they can't afford. So I'm doing a Patreon channel and I'm doing some other stuff, but that's not ready yet. But that's the goal.
Have you ever thought about creating an app? I know it's counterintuitive, given what you advise people, but it seems almost like...
Yeah, I have pulled away from that for that very reason, is that, don't use less tech except for my app. But I agree. I've thought of that. But if they go to the website, stuff is there, and I have my assistant helps me put stuff on Facebook, which I despise. So
that's why you have an assistant. Molly, anything you want to get out to the universe?
Well, second book, you can go to A Piece of Molly's Mind and grab your copy.
What's the title of the book you're supposed to say?
It is not out. It's a surprise.
The title's a surprise?
Because it's the character.
Oh.
Like Blossom was my first book. Oh. That was about a hot air balloon named Blossom. So.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of really good content that has recently gone up on our blog and our website. And you want to go to Gertsburglaw.com and look at that. You want to, for sure, because there's a lot of stuff about like stupid things that people do that get them in trouble, right? Which is similar to what you're, but this is from a legal standpoint. Most recently, I've posted a blog about a shakedown attempt that another law firm has tried to do with us, and
you're kidding me.
I put their demand letter right up on the internet so the whole world can see it, and I put our response to them up there because
I love stuff.
It is as naked a shakedown as you've ever seen. So, folks, if you want to read that, go to Gertsburglaw.com, click on blogs, and read the article called "Nothing Shaking on Shakedown Street."
I love that.
The producer of this show, I want to give them a shout out because this is 99 episodes, right? Many of which we've had this producer and this editor. So the producer is my lovely sister, Nellie Gertsburg Selby. And the editor is John Doherty. And they may or may not have their contact info and links to their stuff on at thebest.podcast.ever.com, but go there and find out. I really don't know, but if
you don't, you guys are welcome to put it up there.
Yeah, they are awesome. So Nellie and John, thank you guys for being so awesome for however many of these 99 episodes you've been helping us. And then you all are going to want to stay tuned for the next episode. Can you believe 100 episodes?
That's really amazing.
What gift do you think you're going to buy me?
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
Ooh. I smell jewelry.
You know what? I'd even take chocolate over jewelry.
Oh, see, you think jewelry.
Yeah.
What she said.
My fingers are good.
She said jewelry.
And my neck is good.
Earrings.
Good.
Nice diamond earrings.
Do you know how pissed off my girlfriend would be? Listen, do you know? So, like, her birthday was
when
in July.
She gets to 100 episodes.
Yeah, damn straight.
Listen,
I put up with you for 100 episodes.
I forgot her birthday, and she gave me so much shit.
As
you should have.
I called our friend Chad Verhoff at Jackson Gray Jeweler, another guest, a great episode, and I said, Chad, I really up.
How long have you been dating this poor woman?
Year and a half.
So is this your second birthday with her?
Yes.
See,
and she's on Facebook. Facebook literally tells you.
You know what? I thought I would get a little surprise.
What's her name?
No.
Tiffany, girl.
Come on, girl. Red flag.
For real? No.
That went in the exact opposite direction that I thought it would. Anywho,
girls are going to sympathize with you.
That was a great episode for real. So, folks, if you're listening, if you have listened this far, then you really like Jesse and you really like Molly, and you may or may not like me, but I like you. So go to whatever you're listening to us on, and if there is a way for you to leave a review, do that, or leave a rating, then do that, but only if it's a really good one. Or
leave a comment about how he forgot his girlfriend's birthday.
Share that.
Please do that.
That's
please.
what I'm thinking.
Jesse, you're never coming on this podcast again. No, seriously, we love doing this, and we love
Alex.
engaging with you guys
we do.
When that happens. So do that, and stay tuned because it's only going to get more amazing, right, Jesse?
Absolutely.
Right, Molly?
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for listening. And remember to check out the Gertsburg Law Firm if you're starting, running, growing, or transitioning a business, or if you need to create or update your wills, trusts, or estate plan. Our firm and our lawyers are among the highest caliber and well-recognized professionals in the field. We are veteran-owned, have the highest rankings from Super Lawyers and the other key attorney rating organizations, and we were recently added to the coveted Weatherhead 100. More than being respected by our peers, our clients rely on us to successfully defend them in court, help them avoid the courtroom with our Cover My Six service, protect their assets, and for many non-legal business services like recruiting and business development. More than just litigators, we are trusted advisors, problem solvers, and growers of businesses. Let us help you and your company. Call us or find us online to learn more. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.